Now, the South African local government has decried the negative impact of the country's policies in the electricity sector on municipalities' ability to do their jobs. Addressing the two-day Municipal Just Energy Transition Conference, Salga says the newly signed Electricity Regulation Amendment Act threatens municipalities' existence. To expand on this conversation, I'm now joined by Lerato Phasha from Salga. Lerato, a very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us. I guess let's start with some of the concerns that you're raising the alarm on when it comes to these new electricity laws and how they will affect municipalities.
Yes, good evening, Masa, and good evening to the viewers of News Africa. Yes, there is. Actually, it was a full day because there are three key issues that local government has been dealing with. There is the ERA bill that was signed into law by the president, which we did not dispute the act in its entirety. We just disputed the new definition that was amended in terms of reticulation and distribution's right of municipality, which was constitutional. And we then submitted our comments to the president in terms of how this will impact and affect municipalities' revenue and its entire existence, because we know everything really is dependent on electricity, the water that we provide, and many other services that municipalities are providing.
Let's talk about that impact on revenue. How would the municipalities be impacted?
So what the Act does is it introduces new players in terms of reticulation and distribution. Municipalities were fundamentally the only sector that was responsible and constitutionally given that right. But what then the Act has brought in is to say municipalities now only has constitutional right to a certain point of megawatts that they can distribute, and then the rest is open up. It's an open market where other players can come and play. And we are then saying that that is where majority of the consumption and high consumers reside, which is above that, which obviously threatens the ability for municipality to raise that revenue. As we know that electricity contributes between 37 and 40% of municipal overall revenue that they raise.
Yeah, and I understand that predicament the municipalities will find themselves in, having to find probably another way of collecting other forms of revenue, and what would that look like? But also, Lerato, we do know that with some municipalities that there have been issues, for instance, with billing. The city of Johannesburg is infamously known for that. In these kinds of cases, do you welcome national intervention for those residents who are saying that the city is unable to provide the kind of services that we are willing to pay for and can afford to pay for?
I just want to yes, there has been challenges in terms of the billing of municipalities, but that is an issue, or as a system issue and an internal control issue that municipalities are supposed to address, which does not inhibit on the constitutional right of municipalities to distribute and reticulate. And as we have seen that the issue of reticulation is one that we have really been raising, that Eskom has been reticulated in areas that are predominantly supposed to be provided by municipalities, and municipalities were not even able to implement credit control thereof. And these issues that municipalities are experiencing are not really isolated from what Eskom has been experiencing themselves with challenges of credit control and debt that they've been experiencing. As you know, that Eskom has municipalities as their most biggest consumers, then Soweto, and I think the other remaining has not really been disclosed in terms of their financial statements. And we are aware that Eskom has been, assisting in how they can reduce the debt of Soweto residents, which was mainly by write-off, and it was not necessarily the issues of billing and collection issues that they have implemented.
And also with the new laws as well, it would have more responsibilities for municipalities as well when it comes to climate change. They would also have to develop their own climate change response strategies too. Do you think the municipalities have the capacity also and the skill to be able to do that?
I think just energy transition is a new reform that is new to us, and that's why we co-hosted this JET conference. And this is just to establish the legislative requirements that needs to come into play, so that this transition is just to all that are involved in the value chain of municipalities, and also to do assessment in terms of access to this type of energy that's been introduced, and also assess the capabilities and the readiness of municipalities, and looking also into how municipalities need to finance and explore alternative mechanisms and investments, not only from the grants that they've been receiving, but also looking into donor funding and venture capitals or DFIs. So this is a new transition that we are all navigating. And after today's conference, we were able to establish what is the way forward. And we did it indeed. There are few municipalities that are a bit ahead in terms of their plans and implementing these issues, and City of Cape Town is one of them. But we did establish that quite a number of municipalities, a lot of capacity and capability needs to be built, and it's a journey that started actually many years ago. But I think with this conference, we were able to establish where actually municipalities are in terms of those key areas that I've just outlined.
Yeah, and just before I let you go, as we wrap up, the Electricity Minister, Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, was also speaking about, trying to manage this balance of affordability of energy, accessibility of it, but also bringing in the environmental factor as well of, yes, why we are moving to this just energy transition, but highlighting that it will not come at the expense of municipalities as well. Tell us more about that.
So we've actually had quite a number of engagements with the minister, and he's quite, understanding, because he comes from the sector when we were still mayor, and we actually aligned with a number of issues, because what we have highlighted is as municipalities need to recover cost, there's an element that was often left out in terms of tariffs, which was affordability, and that hence we have seen why a number of consumers in municipalities are actually owing municipalities, and it is an aspect that we said collaboratively between ourselves, National Treasury, and DCOC and his ministry, we need to look into this affordability aspect and look into the debt, how we can address the debt that is owed to municipality and the debt that actually municipalities owes to Eskom and water boards. So we have they've tasked DCOC to be the lead in terms of this issue, and I think a lot of the details will come once DCOC has already developed that framework and the implementation plan thereof in terms of supporting municipality and addressing the challenges that have been highlighted. And I think all of us have said that JET is here. We've seen how municipalities have been impacted by climate change, and they need to really transition and see how they become more resilient, and a lot really needs to be done. I think we are at that foundational phase, and we've all agreed that we need to journey together collaboratively, national, provinces, and municipalities to really ensure that municipalities become climate resilient.
A long journey ahead still awaits. Thank you so much for your time this evening, Lerato Phasha. That is, of course, Lerato Phasha from Salga.